Hello and welcome to another Oolong build video. Now if you are fairly new to the game, I wouldn't suggest you running this build as it relies heavily on your ability to deflect enemy attacks. So if you are looking for a cheese build, this definitely ain't gonna cut it. But if you are pretty good with the parry timing and enjoy that core mechanic of the game, then this is hands down the best build you can use in the game, as it gives you a lot of buffs every time you deflect and a few debuffs on the enemy. Now to start things off, let's talk about the weapons first. Now the worst weapon to go with if you want to run a parry focused build is going to be heavy weapons. They're just absolutely garbage in my opinion, and they have slow attacks, no stagger prevention while attacking, and of course having a really low deflect difficulty. Now the higher this value is, the easier deflecting with this weapon will be, and dual swords have the highest deflect difficulty in the game, but the one weapon we'll go for this build is going to be the 100 Forged Sabers, which has a deflect difficulty value of 133.3%, which is higher than any other weapons currently available in the game. So weapon 100 Forged Sabers. Now the grace we'll be using for this build is going to be the Grace of Diode Tianzan, the pure one. So you have deflect spirit consumption reduced by 2.5%, then haste upon deflection. I have no idea if we actually benefit for what we're trying to do with this build, but it's good to have. The spirit gained from deflecting increased by 4.6%. Then damage amplification to the target enemy upon a successful deflecting counterattack. Then of course we have the principle of Diode. Now I have tested it in my previous build video, and each stack of principle of Lingbao provides you with 10% increase to HP damage. So if you have 5 stacks, that should be 50%, but you might wanna test that one out yourself. Then we are also using one piece from the Grace of Zhuangzi, the Black Emperor set, which gives us deflect spirit consumption, negative 2.6%. And then we also are using the Grace of Lingbao Tianzan, the pure one, which gives us spirit vulnerability on enemy upon martial arts. Now let's talk about the stats. We have 31 points into wood, and that might be kind of a shocker to some of you, because in every single one of my builds I talk about how your sustain or your durability is really, really important. But speaking of that, we are going for a really lightweight armor for this build, and we also have A agility, which means that your martial art moves and your attack dodge, they are going to consume the least amount of spirit. So because of how this build works, I think A agility makes the most sense out of everything else. But you do not need to use a really lightweight armor. You can go with a heavyweight armor if you want, mainly because we also have 58 points into Earth Virtue, and that should allow you to put on the heavy armor pieces. But it just feels kind of like it's just lame to be honest with you. Then yes, 31 points into wood because we have terrible defense because of the A agility, and having a really large amount of HP without having a decent defense, it just doesn't make any sense. So I'm not going to be wasting a lot of points into wood because, well, it's just a parry focused build anyway. So why would I try to make a build where I can tank the enemy attacks? Because that's not what we are going for with this build, right? Then we have Fire Virtue, 32 points to increase the amount of spirit we get from attacking the enemies, and also reduces the amount of spirit consumed by the martial art moves. Then Earth Virtue, 58 points, well, because if you remember, we have A+ scaling with Earth on our main weapon, the only weapon that we'll be using for this build. So 58 points into Earth, and it's also, because it's a deflection build, if you read, it increases the amount of spirit gained when deflecting an attack. Then we have Metal Virtue, 12 points. Well, metal doesn't matter for this build, but we have 12 points into it, just so we can, just for the extra spirit sustainability. And then Water Virtue, 20 points, just so we can use the Aqua Blink, which is my most favorite wizardry spell in the game, and it also goes really, really well with this build. Now the special effect that you should be stacking on your gears for this build. Well, let's start with the weapon. So you have damage bonus, light equip load, A-, and so just to get the most out of the A agility. Then we also have damage amplification on enemy upon martial arts hit, then spirit gain. Then these ones don't matter. You might want to stack some HP or something else on these. Then onto the armor pieces. We have damage to enemies with negative effects, then heaviness accumulation, then stone attack power, and spirit sustainability. And we are going with the same, we're stacking the same special effects on all of these. But for the west guard, not the west, but the gauntlets. We also have spirit vulnerability on enemy upon deflecting a critical blow, which are going to be the red attacks that you cannot block, but you will have to parry if you don't want to take any damage from them. Now on to the accessories. The only thing we are focusing on are going to be the power gain upon deflection and spirit fervor upon deflection. So it is going to increase the amount of spirit you gain by attacking the enemies. Now you can go with the damage reduction, but I wouldn't suggest you because the increase isn't that significant, and you really shouldn't be focusing on defense, because the defense, if you do focus on add some special effects that increases your defense slightly, it's just going to be totally useless, because you are most likely going to have die from any enemies in like 2 or 3 hits. So don't focus on defense and go all out on offense. And because it's a parry focused build, why do you care about defense anyway? But this is the way I am doing it, so you do not have to always follow through. Then stone weapon, the wizardry spells. The first thing, we have stone weapon, and that's the reason why we are stacking the heaviness accumulation and stone attack power for. And we also have aqua blink. Well, aqua blink because of the because the nature of the build, you would there are a few attacks that are really extremely hard to deflect or parry. So for those attacks, you might want to just blink out of that attack area and not want to, if you don't want to deal with that bullshit. Then we have amplify damage. Well, it doesn't make that much of a difference anyway, because we have terrible defense anyway, so might as well make sure that your fatal strike deal an insane amount of damage, which it already does, but you can pump it up even more by using amplify damage. And then illusionary cell, well, we have 58 points into earth virtue, and in case you do mess up every now and then illusionary cell is going to help you out with that. And because it gives you a damage absorption shield, so you're not going to be taking any damage until that damage threshold on that shield has reached. So let's look at the special effects now. So you have spirit sustainability plus 77. Now, if you don't know what spirit sustainability is, it increases the duration of how long you can hold a positive spirit for. Then we have stone attack power plus 77. Then damage to enemies with negative effects. And if you remember, we have the spirit vulnerability and damage amplification upon enemy on martial arts hit. So there are 2 debuffs we are applying on the enemies just by using one martial arts move. So damage to enemies with negative effects 12.8%. Then spirit damage to enemies with negative effects increased by 10.2%. Then we have heaviness accumulation on enemies. The spirit gained from deflecting. Then what else we have? Damage amplification to the target enemy upon a successful martial arts hit, and also we have spirit vulnerability, you just talked about it. Power gain upon deflection, haste upon deflection, and spirit fervor upon deflection. Power drop on enemy upon wizardry spell, useless for this build. Then spirit vulnerability to the enemy upon successfully deflecting a critical blow, which are the red attacks again. Then we have set bonus requirement mitigation, of course, and we also have the principle of deity. So those are going to be all the special effects. Now, like I said, you do not have to copy my exact build. You can make changes, like you can go with heavy armor sets if you want, but if you ask me, I'll definitely suggest you to go with the agility for obvious reasons. Now for the Divine Beast, we're using Tanxi. Again, this is the only spirit that I use in almost every single one of my builds, not because how good it is, but because how bad the other spirits are. So yeah, I mean, we're just using the same thing in every single one of our builds, but if you want, you can go with something else. So that's going to be all. I don't have anything else to talk about, I think. If I did, I will you can ask me in the comments. I'll let you know if I know about that thing already. So that's going to be all. Give this build a try. I'm pretty sure you're going to love this build, because this is just like super badass build, especially if you enjoy playing the game the way it is supposed to, which is going to be focusing mainly on the parry mechanic in the game. And if you do enjoy that, then this is going to be the best build, not because it's like really good offensively, but it just like looks so cool. Yeah, I did post a showcase video of this build, so if you want, you can check out the description, and there will be a link to the 1 or 2 minutes long video that I posted recently. So yeah, that's going to be all. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. And as always, be sure to stay awesome, and I'm out of here. Take care. Peace.